Now you bring up a different question about my other hat that I wear, which is my daytime job of managing a company. And to balance both is a task, but it's only 1 year. I'm dedicating a year as presidentship here, and the most paramount aspects of this are the transformations that will happen in the economy. Higher per capita income will lead to a different form of people. The way that we deal with institutions and with the politics of it will be very different. The increased use of digitization as well as factors which are contributing towards climate change will be even more prevalent. And these are themes which will continue not for 1 or 2 or 3 years, they'll continue for decades. Of alignment between academia and industry is necessary, not only in business schools, but in technology-related and engineering schools as well as the entire educational ecosystem. We need to invest into research and development. We need to then commercialize those research and developments as well, so that we can help build a greater, better India.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to this podcast of IMA Indore. First of all, I would like to welcome you at 31st Conclave of IMA Indore.
Oh, thank you very much for having me here, and a very good afternoon.
Thank you, sir. How was your journey up till now at Indore?
Well, firstly, I have to confess this is the first time I've been here, and I don't think I'll have the opportunity to fully discover the city, but I really was keen to come to the cleanest city in India. And I have to say, my first impressions are wonderful. People are very hospitable, but more than that, people take ownership of the city, so they're very proud of the outcomes. And I think that there's a very unique ecosystem that's developing here. So I'm very proud to be here, very happy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, coming to your role, you are a leader of us. As I am a member, I feel that President AIMA is my leader. So being leader of many leaders, how it feels to manage a company and managing the managers?
Oh, well, that's a difficult question. But firstly, I have to say it's a real privilege for me to be able to be president of the All India Management Association. Now, the All India Management Association is obviously a collective of multiple different stakeholders. One is, of course, the many LMAs that constitute the All India Management Association. As you know, IMA was founded by a set of LMAs itself back in the 1960s. So the privilege to be able to lead an institution like IMA, which has a storied history, is extremely pertinent. More so given the mandate that it has, which is not a lobby institution. It stands for management education, management discipline, and management capability, which it tries to do through its variety of different stakeholders, students, academic institutions themselves, LMAs, corporates, professionals, and everyone else who values management. Now you bring up a different question about my other hat that I wear, which is my daytime job of managing a company. And to balance both is a task, but it's only 1 year. I'm dedicating a year as presidentship here, and it's essentially to provide guidance and leadership on areas which can be scaled by the institution. The secretariat plays a very important role, as you would imagine. At IMA as well, you have a wonderful secretary and institution there. But all of you as members also do come together to provide a framework on which you should build upon. So I'm very fortunate, thank you. But it's difficult, but it's very rewarding in its own way.
So for this 64 years, you are for us, sort of thing. What is your vision for this year for AIMA?
Well, our theme for this year is the Indian century, managing growth through transformation. I think this is something that I'd like to speak about in my session a little bit later today, but each of those words means something. As we know, India is very frankly the center of the world at this point in time, not only in terms of the leadership that our very able Prime Minister is really exhibiting, but more so even in terms of the demographic and the industry that we're participating in. So it is very frankly India's century, but we need to manage the risks that come along with it, that come along with growth. The shift in our demography, the shift in consumption patterns, and increased fixed capital formation will all throw up opportunities, but we need to be able to manage those growth factors so that we can sustain it. And the most paramount aspects of this are the transformations that will happen in the economy. Higher per capita income will lead to a different form of people. The way that we deal with institutions and with the politics of it will be very different. the increased use of digitization as well as factors which are contributing towards climate change will be even more prevalent. And these are themes which will continue not for 1 or 2 or 3 years, they'll continue for decades.
Right.
And so it is something that we're trying to bridge and help build into the theme, which could allow LMAs as well as all our different activities at IMA to have some degree of centricity on these issues.
Having studied at University of Cambridge and University of Pennsylvania, and you were at board of IIM Kolkata also, what addition in our management education should have, so that even we'll have Ivy League graduates?
Yes, yes. Well, firstly, our academic institutions are second to none. And one thing that we have to know as we go into this next century is the confidence that we as Indians have is something that is imperative for us to exhibit in all forms.
True.
We have the best students, we have the best faculty, we have the best teachers. The ecosystem in which they actually operate needs to be more relevant to the industry. I believe a greater degree of alignment between academia and industry is necessary, not only in business schools, but in technology-related and engineering schools as well as the entire educational ecosystem. Because once you're able to align with industry, you become more relevant, and by being relevant, you're able to then be more significant. And I'll give you an example of that. I think that there's a need for business schools as well as possibly local management associations like IMA to work on case studies, of local enterprises that have been successful, because the best way to learn is through practice. And those examples will change yearly. So to be dynamic enough to change those examples and change those case studies is also equally important for us to recognize. I think that the IIM system is wonderful, partly driven by the fact that they get the best students in.
Right.
But they also have wonderful output. The quality of the faculty is fantastic. The greater degree of alignment with industry, which is necessary for all business school students, because I would imagine 90+% would go into business in some form or the other. It's important for them to get associated with industry as early as possible.
So more internships and more practical trainings?
Yes, more internships, more practical training. There's a whole move towards working in a gig manner, in ways which are different from the past. But to realize ultimately where value is contributed by an enterprise, so that you're part of that value creation. Because only then are you relevant to that enterprise.
Absolutely.
I believe that, very frankly, this is an age of entrepreneurship. It's extremely important that educational institutions, as well as LMAs, as well as IMA, provide access to tools which can enhance capability and capacity of students and others who want to retrain themselves in newer forms of working, in newer forms of participation. Because unless you're relevant to that ecosystem, you're not able to actually create value in whichever way. It could be in a managerial capability or an entrepreneurial capability.
Apart from technical skill, which skill a youth should possess to be a successful manager?
Well, I think a lot will be discussed over yesterday and today in terms on this topic. But essentially it starts off from firstly being very true to yourself. You have to work very hard and you have to be true to yourself. And it's a sense of ownership. I think the greater the sense of ownership that one has over the work that they do, which extends to the enterprise larger than just what the function exactly contributes towards, is extremely important. To understand the bigger picture is the only way that you can contribute more to the organization and grow within the organization, because unless you're able to take responsibility and take the accountability that comes along with that, it's very difficult for you to outshine others. And to show and to outshine and competitiveness in that organizational setup is extremely important for you to progress quickly. But I think that you have both technical knowledge, which has to be addressed in a slightly different manner. We need to invest into research and development. We need to then commercialize those research and developments as well, so that we can help build a greater, better India.
Yeah, and upskilling is of course.
Well, of course, people need to retrain themselves in areas.
You have worked at different positions: corporate affairs, communication, investor relations. Which role do you find is most crucial, and what was the biggest challenge?
Well, the roles, you've listed certain line functions. I've had the privilege of working with an enterprise which is professionally managed at all levels, but has a significant promoter holding. So I do come from a sense of privilege to be able to participate in each of those functions. But besides that, the approach that I've always taken is to ensure that capital allocation is done in a manner which is most prudent to an organization, both in terms of being able to manage risk and the rewards that do come out of it. And unless you're able to look at any expenditure from a payback perspective, you're not able to hold yourself accountable to the results.
Right.
So you have to benchmark what you think are going to be the outcomes so that you can monitor to see how your performance has been. Some of my most cherished positions that I've held have been in the areas of strategy and new business incubation. And I think those are the ones that are truly rewarding because they allow you to see the potential of something and then help realize that.
Right. Okay, sir. Thank you so much
for
your time. Thank you, sir.